HOA fined me $50,000, they didn't know I own the only road into this neighborhood. Walter Grady stood in the quiet of his front yard, staring at the letter that had arrived that morning. His hands, weathered from years of hard work and wear, trembled slightly as he unfolded the thick envelope. It was official, his worst fears had come true. The Homeowners Association, led by Nancy Whitmore, the woman who had been trying to control every aspect of his life for months, had slapped him with a $50,000 fine. His eyes scanned the letter, each word cutting deeper than the last. Violation of neighborhood standards, it said. His crime. He hadn't painted the fence. The same fence that had been standing for over 50 years, originally built by his father. And to top it off, the HOA threatened to foreclose on his property if the fine wasn't paid in full within 30 days. Walter's fists clenched. He had known it was coming. The letters had started months ago, petty complaints about his outdated fence, his unkempt lawn, and his unsightly old barn. He had ignored them all. But now this was different. $50,000. That was no small amount for a man on a fixed income, living alone after his wife passed 2 years ago. But this wasn't just about the money. It was about the sheer audacity of Nancy Whitmore and the HOA. They had been poking and prodding at him, testing how far they could push before he broke. They thought they could control him. They thought he was just an old man, a relic of the past who didn't know how to fight back. But Walter had something they didn't expect. He had power, and he had knowledge of a piece of land that they had never bothered to investigate. You see, Walter wasn't just a retired engineer. He was the owner of the only road that led into Woodland Pines. The HOA had spent years developing the area, but they never bothered to ask who owned the access road. They assumed it was just part of the community, a public road, easily ignored. But that wasn't the case. Walter's father had made sure to keep the deed for the road when they sold the rest of the land, in the 1970s. The road was his, privately owned, but open for public use. And Walter, for the longest time, had let the HOA and the residents of Woodland Pines think it was just a public road, part of the community's infrastructure. That was the mistake the HOA made. They had no idea who they were messing with. Walter Grady owned the key to the whole neighborhood. And now, as he stood in front of his old home, the sun setting in the distance, he knew that it was time to take action. The HOA had pushed too far. They had underestimated him, and now he was going to make them regret it. He crumpled the letter in his hands and tossed it into the trash bin. There would be no payment, no compliance. He wasn't going to sit back and let Nancy Whitmore and her cronies ruin his life any longer. Walter took a deep breath and walked to the shed in the backyard, where his tools rested, ready for the task ahead. It was time to remind the HOA just who controlled Woodland Pines. They wouldn't get away with this. Not this time. Walter Grady lived a quiet, simple life in the small wooden house he inherited from his father. After his wife passed away 2 years ago, everything had slowed down: the house, the yard, the barn. They all reminded him of the peaceful life he had lived. Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more.